All right, everybody ready to go? Okay, so I'm going to give this statement in English, then we're going to give it in Korean, and then we'll come back up for questions. You good with that? Okay. As many of you were at last night's town hall meeting, and as I said then, that I couldn't wait to stand before you and announce that we've made an arrest in the shooting at Royal Lane. We saw last night, heard the pain, frustrations, and fear, but we also saw a lot of support from our community. Today, I'm relieved to say that we have made an arrest on the individual who we believe is responsible. On March 17th, Dallas police arrested Jeremy Smith, 36 years old, and charged him with 3 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. The charges stem from the May 11th shooting that injured 3 people at a hair salon located at 2216 Royal Lane. The preliminary investigation determined that at about 2:20 p.m., 7 individuals were inside the Hair World salon when Smith parked his minivan in a westbound lane of Royal Lane, crossed the street with a .22 caliber rifle, walked into the salon, and started shooting. The suspect shot approximately 13 times, injuring 3 people inside, then ran back to his car and sped off westbound on Royal Lane. 1 victim was shot in her right forearm, 1 was shot in the foot, and another was shot in the lower back. The 4 other people inside the salon were not injured in the shooting. Surveillance video collected by detectives showed the suspect's van had a few identifying factors, including a luggage rack, sticker on the lower back windshield, along with faded paint and damage to the back lift gate. During the preliminary investigation, through witness information and the work of our analysts who were able to identify the suspect vehicle, a red 2004 Honda Odyssey, and identified the suspect, Jeremy Smith. Our officers patrolled around the address where the vehicle was parked and noted the vehicle matched the description seen in the surveillance footage. Officers were also able to see the suspect, who matched the victim's description and the descriptions from the surveillance footage. During our investigation, detectives learned that 2 years ago, Smith had a motor vehicle crash with an Asian male. Since this crash, Smith has had panic attacks and delusions when he is around anyone of Asian descent. On May 16th, Dallas police took Smith into custody on active warrants and brought him to police headquarters for questioning. A search warrant was executed on the van, and police seized a handgun, gun magazine, and ammunition. Smith was taken to Dallas County Jail, where his bond was set by a magistrate. The investigation is ongoing. We also continue to investigate the 2 additional shootings at Asian-run businesses, one in April, another in May. There was a connection between those shootings in that a maroon or red vehicle was driven by the unknown suspect. At this time, there have been no arrests on those cases, as more work or investigation needs to be done before Smith can be charged in those cases. As I've said previously, hate has no place in our city. This department, the men and women of the Dallas Police Department deeply care about the people we serve. This arrest is a result of the hard work, sacrifice, community support to bring a suspect to justice and to ultimately bring peace to this community, who rightfully so have been nervous, frustrated, and angry since this crime has occurred. We will continue to do the work to reassure this community that we're here to serve and protect you, and our entire community as well. We have 3 camera trailers that have been set up in the neighborhood, and we have added additional patrols to the area to make sure our police officers are highly visible. To the members of our city who have been affected by this crime, we are here to help. We also need yours. We know what is out of the you know what's out of the ordinary in your neighborhood. If you see something, please say something. Through better communication and interaction, we will have a safer Dallas. I would be remiss if I did not commend our assaults unit led by Lieutenant Calvin Johnson and the tireless, tremendous work of Detective Tim Johnston, who put in countless numbers of hours, and undoubtedly more will follow, as these cases are unique and complex. And finally, this case would not have had the outcome of today if not for one fugitive analyst that I have working in our unit, who has done tremendous work for us in tying these cases together and helping us identify the suspect vehicle, and then ultimately our fugitive unit, who does tremendous work and continues to take the violent criminal element off our streets. And with that, we're going to give it in Korean, and I'll be right back up for questions.
나는 어젯밤 타운홀에서 총격 사건에서 우리가 체포되었음을 알리고 여러분 앞에 서서 발표하기를 기다릴 수 없다고 말했습니다. 오늘 저는 우리가 그 체포를 했고 용의자는 거리에서 나왔다는 것을 자랑스럽게 생각합니다. 2022년 3월 17일 달라스 경찰은 제레미 스미스 36살을 체포하고 치명적인 무기를 사용한 가죽풍행 3건으로 그를 기소했습니다. 혐의는 5월 11일 로열레인 2216번지에 위치한 미용실에서 발생한 총기 난사 사건에서 비롯했다. 예비 조사에 따르면 오후 2시 20분경 스미스가 로열레인 서쪽 차선에 미니밴을 주차하고 22구경 소총으로 길을 건너 미용실에 걸어 들어가 총을 쏘기 시작할 때 7명이 헤어월드 살롱 안에 있었다. 용의자는 약 13차례 총을 쏘아 안에서 3명이 다쳤고 차를 몰고 다시 로열레인을 향해 질주했다. 피해자 한 명은 오른쪽 팔뚝에, 한 명은 발에, 다른 한 명은 허리에 총을 맞았습니다. 미용실 안에 있던 다른 4명은 다치지 않았습니다. 형사들이 수집한 감시 비디오에 따르면 용의자의 배내는 수화물 선반, 뒤쪽 앞유리, 하단 스티커, 색바랜 페인트, 백 리프트 게이트 손상 등 몇 가지 식별 요소가 있었습니다. 예비조사 동안 목격자 정보와 분석가의 직업을 통해 우리는 용의자 차량인 빨간색 2004년 헌더 오디시와 용의자 제레미 스미스를 식별할 수 있었습니다. 우리 경찰들과는 차량이 주차된 주소로 순찰을 돌았고 차량이 감시 영상에 표시된 설명과 일치하는 것을 확인했습니다. 경찰은 또한 피해자의 실명과 감시 영상에 설명과 일치하는 용의자를 볼 수 있었습니다. 조사하는 동안 형사들은 2년 전에 스미스가 아시아계 남성과 자동차 출동 사고를 당했다는 사실을 알게 되었습니다. 사고 이후 스미스는 아시아계 사람과 함께 있을 때 공황 발작과 망상을 겪었습니다. 5월 16일 달라스 경찰은 스미스를 유효한 영장으로 구급하고 신문을 위해 경찰본부로 데려갔습니다. 벤에서 수사경찰이 집행되었고 경찰은 권총, 탄창 및 탄약을 압수했습니다. 스미스는 달라스 카운티 감옥으로 이송되었습니다. 그곳에서 치안 판사를 그의 노예가 되었습니다. 이 조사는 진행 중입니다. 우리는 또한 4월에 한 번, 5월에 한 번인 아시아계 기업에서 발생한 2건의 추가 총격 사건을 계속 조사하고 있습니다. 절각색이나 붉은색 차량을 알 수 없는 용의자가 물었다는 점에서 이들 총격 사이에는 연관성이 있었다. 현재로서는 그러한 사건에 대한 체포가 이루어지지 않았습니다. 스미스는 이러한 경우에 기소되지 않았습니다. 앞서 말했듯이 중원은 우리 도시에 쓸저리가 없습니다. 이 부서, 즉 달라스 경찰의 남녀들은 우리가 봉사하는 사람들을 돌보고 있습니다. 이 체포는 용의자를 재판에 회부하고 궁극적으로 이 범죄가 발생한 이후로 긴장하니 커뮤니티의 평화를 가져오기 위한 노력과 해상의 결과입니다. 이 커뮤니티에 우리가 당신을 섬기고 보호하기 위해 있다는 확신을 주기 위해 계속 노력할 것입니다. 우리는 이웃의 3대의 카메라 트레일에서 설치했으며 경찰이 잘 보도록 해당 지역에 추가 순찰을 추가했습니다. 이 범죄로 피해를 입은 우리 사회 궁원원들에게 우리는 도움이 필요합니다. 또한 귀하의 도움이 필요합니다. 당신의 이웃에서 비일상적인 것이 무엇인지 압니다. 수상한 것은 본 경우 뭔가 보이면 말하세요. 또 나온 소통을 통해 더 안전한 달라스를 만들기 위해 노력하겠습니다.
All right, before we start going to questions, I want to thank, before we start going to questions, I just want to thank Deputy City Manager Fortune for being here, and also Councilmember Narvez, thank you. You were there last night with me as well as we saw the frustration, anger, and pain, so thank you for being here. Okay.
Is there some connection with this individual to the other two incidents that you had mentioned before?
Well, right now, other than the vehicle description that we have, more work needs to be done to ensure that that individual still is involved in those as well. The original connection was the vehicle. And so now we have to work backwards from that, and there'll be more work being done with those detectives as well.
So it's safe to say that you are still investigating those two as possible connections to this individual?
Absolutely, yes.
Chief, can this be enhanced to a state or federal hate crime at this point? You have them on ag assault charges.
Yes, it can. Yes, it can. Obviously, as the process works, it would be an enhancement if it's done at the state level, and we're still working with our federal partners with regards to that, but absolutely it can.
Do you consider this an issue of racism, or do you consider this an issue of mental health, or both?
Right now, it's too early to tell. Right now, it's an issue of hate. It's an issue to hate crime. However that manifests itself, I'm not here to say that. I can tell you that I know our community sees it as a hate crime. I see it as a hate crime, and so do our men and women.
Chief, did Mr. Smith have any diagnosed mental illness?
We're not going to comment on that right now. There's a lot more follow-up that needs to be done quickly to get this information out as fast as possible, but there's a lot more work that needs to be done. And I'm sure that information, if any, will come out in the future.
Chief, you mentioned, you said he was arrested today. Did you apprehend him yesterday morning in DeSoto with your SWAT team and took him into custody? Did you question him? Did he provide information, more specific detail on that?
He was brought in for questioning on unrelated charges yesterday. He was not arrested, and he was not booked for the charges that I'm talking to you about till this morning.
Hablando acerca de los motivos, jefe, tuvo un accidente anteriormente con una persona de origen asiático.
Tuvo un accidente con alguien así, tan sí, y después de ese tiempo ha tenido pensamientos malos contra esa comunidad.
Were you able to confirm whether the firearms were registered and owned? And also, the girlfriend mentioned that he had been committed in a mental institution. Were y'all able to confirm that at all?
We're still working on confirming all those things.
Firearms?
We're still working on confirming all that stuff. By process, they will get processed, and we'll be able to confirm that. As you all know, in a lot of these cases, the tremendous amount of work that goes on the front end oftentimes looks like the tip of the iceberg when you start setting up the case as it goes forward. So there's a lot more work to be done. No, hold on. Go ahead.
Chief, in lieu of recent shootings in other parts of the country that were also motivated by race or ethnicity, what is the department doing to prepare or prevent this kind of thing from continuing to happen in Dallas?
Well, again, as we talked to our community yesterday, more outreach, continue to do outreach. The reality of it is unfortunately, there are many sectors of our community in a beautifully diverse city as Dallas is that can be affected. As we have seen nationally through the years, a lot of our communities are at risk. And so continuing to conduct outreach as often as we can, continuing to ensure that our communities know how to report something when they see something suspicious is incredibly important. To be able to ensure that our community knows that we're there for them, to ensure our community knows that we will deal with their fears. That's the most important part. Yes, ma'am.
Is there any possibility that he will be released on bail? Is there any possibility that he's...
There's always a possibility. My hope is that he's not. I know that as the judge signed the warrant, they requested high bail, high bond on the individual. So I'm hopeful that not. I would love to tell you no, but as we know, we have to wait and see. But I'm very, very hopeful that that will not be an issue in this case.
Chief, the link between the three shootings is that maroon minivan, according to what we've heard. Since you've been talking to members of the public and going through different shootings, are there any other shootings targeting Asian-run businesses that maybe you haven't seen a maroon minivan, but now the department is saying, hey, could this person be connected to this shooting?
Repeat your question?
So basically, these three shootings that you are investigating right now that could be tied to him all have that link of maroon minivan. Since you've been engaging the public, has anyone come forward and said, hey, my business was also shot, or we had this issue in our business, and now you could be looking to see if this person was involved?
I have not gotten that information yet. It doesn't mean that we haven't been looking at certain things. I know my detectives are looking at things constantly, but that has not gotten to my level that we've had that type of situation yet.
¿Cómo fue que lo atraparon en español con breve y quiénes colaboraron en la captura de esta persona?
El FBI nos ayudó y nosotros lo estamos velando durante el fin de la semana y cuando lo encontramos alrededor del carro fue cuando lo agarramos.
Chief, can you tell us anything about the health today of the people who were shot?
They're in stable condition and recovering. I spoke to one of the victims last night.
Have they all
And-
been discharged from the hospital?
I'm sorry?
Have they been discharged from the hospital?
Well, the one that I saw yesterday was, and she was frightened, incredibly supportive, and very hopeful that today was going to happen. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, ma'am. I'm sorry? We believe the shooting was intentional. Yes, absolutely.
Yesterday, when you saw the victims, were they notified prior to coming out to the public that a suspect had been arrested?
We weren't prepared to give out any additional information yesterday. We didn't have the information at the time.
When were the victims notified that the suspect had been arrested?
That I don't know yet.
Chief, the day after the shooting, you said you were confident that hate was not the motivation. What made you so confident?
Well, on that particular day, again, you have to be very cautious, as we see here, when these incidents do occur. And at that time, we did not have any specific indication that it was. And that's with a collaboration with our federal partners as well. But as I've mentioned before, the minute that we knew it was, we felt it was extremely important to notify you all, notify our community.
So to tie that together, Chief, was the dialogue with the girlfriend, because from as he just mentioned, you weren't certain a week ago, but now you are, based on what specifically?
Well, we started looking at it when we saw the similar incidents with the same car. Obviously, the randomness of the act, and then also some more investigation and statements and things that we've gotten, and so we feel comfortable.
What I'm questioning is the reference of hate, that it's a hate act, based on the dialogue your investigators had with other people. That's what in the affidavit.
Yes, well, we believe it is, and we're going to continue investigating. There's other factors, but we're not prepared to discuss those right now. We feel pretty confident.
Chief, the affidavit says that the girlfriend had said that he had been mentally institutionalized a couple of times, or had been in mental health facilities. Is the ATF also involved in this case as to how a person with mental health issues obtained weapons, and if anyone gave those to him, or how he got those weapons?
Rebecca, we're going to not leave any stone unturned. Our federal partners, as I've often said, it's the best relationship that I've seen, and we're all going to be working on this.
Was his girlfriend at the salon at any point in time that day?
We don't have any indication of that at this point, but again, investigation's early. Nosotros creemos que era un crimen de odio, sí. Debe estar tranquila de la persona que nosotros creemos que fue el sospechoso de este caso, que está arrestado, sí. Yes.
Could the mental health issues mitigate possible hate elevation of this case?
I'm not gonna get into that. It's not my place to figure that out. I'll just know that the actions and the investigation that has revealed to us that this was motivated by hate.
Any indication as to whether he said something before being fired, whether any sort of statement was made while he was inside the salon?
Nothing at this point has come out.
Your officers are highly visible out there in Koreatown, that area. Talk to us a little bit about that high visibility, high saturation, high contact that's going on right now.
It's important that our community, particularly one that's in fear, sees our officers. Make sure that our visibility is there. Make sure they know we're there. Make sure the cameras are there. Most importantly, continue the dialogue with our community. This is not something that's going to go away. Just because this individual is in custody doesn't mean that we don't have to continue to do outreach, because we do. Because there's lives that have been changed forever because of this, and so we just need to continue to do the best we can to be vigilant and present.
Are there any other planned roundtables with the Korean society, like the one that took place yesterday, since the other two cases still haven't been resolved and nobody's been arrested in those two cases?
Yeah, There's gonna be more.
Do you know when?
No. I'm sure you will find out.
Last question, guys. Nothing?
You mentioned the dialogue's important with the community. How many Korean-speaking patrol officers do you have?
I think as of last night when we heard, 10.